Oh, hi there. Welcome to No Bad Days. I'm Ryan. Thanks for joining me again this week. This week we're going to talk about acceptance and the power that that holds. I want to wish all of you a happy holidays. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now, and thank you so much for taking a little break away from all of that to spend it with me. I'm very grateful for that. And if you have a chance, click the like button and subscribe. So we might as well get right into it. All right, so we'll jump right into it. This week I want to talk about acceptance and how important acceptance is to freedom and the power that it holds. For me, one of the biggest challenges was accepting that I was an alcoholic and addict. It was easy for me to admit it, but to actually accept it was a very difficult thing. I think with accepting it meant that then I had to do something about it. Because just admitting it was easy to throw it around, and but like the actual acceptance of it meant that I had to make a change, or I had no one else to blame but myself. I'll tell you a quick little story that carries a little bit of humor that I kind of remember towards the end of my drinking career. I was out by the street smoking a cigarette on this busy road in town, and it was 7 in the morning on a Tuesday, and everybody was going to work, and I had been up all night, and I'm out there. I still smoked at this time, hacking on a dart, and I see this car driving by, and it hits this pebble about the size of, I don't know, a loonie or toonie. And I see it hit it, and it was like slow motion, and it starts flying through the air, and I'm like, that's peculiar. Looks like it's flying right at me. This rock hits me in the groin. I collapse on the ground. I'm rolling around on this busy street on a Tuesday morning, holding my crotch, and I kind of sat there, and I was like, is this my life? Why do things like this keep happening to me? Not connecting the dots that, most people aren't out smoking a cigarette at 7 in the morning drunk on a Tuesday. I had things like this happen to me all the time, and I always blamed everybody and everything else. Why'd that car drive by? Why'd that person punch me in the face? Or whatever it may have been. But it was always somebody else's fault, and it never had anything to do with booze, Lord knows. I didn't really come to terms with the acceptance aspect until I got to treatment. Until I started to do some work, started to do a little bit of searching within, and I was able to kind of sit back and say, you know what, I am an alcoholic and addict, and I want to change, and what can I now do to fix this? In a 12-step program, they say there is a solution. So what is the solution to this problem? And I started to do the work, and I dove right into it. What I realized is that at the end of the day, I had kind of two options. It was like, for instance, like this cup. So like this cup can represent alcohol. So I can have this cup, and this is all I can have. This is alcohol. This is the rest of my life. This is what I get. Or I can have everything else in the world. And it made it pretty clear to me. I'm like, I don't just want this. I want everything. I want to be able to do anything and everything. And what I had to learn was that there's two things I can't do in this world, and that's drink or use drugs. Everything else I can try. And once I realized that, I was like, yeah, that's what I want. And I pursued that, and I started to put in the work to be able to do that. So somebody gave me a solution, and I ran with it. It's made my life so much more enjoyable and full because of it. And it just started with that acceptance aspect. I had to get honest with myself. What I've learned is that I don't have control of a lot of things in life. Especially I don't have control of people, places, or things. And what I mean by that is I don't have control over what other people do, what's going on in another place, or where I am, for instance. And what I do have control over is how I respond to those situations, and or can I avoid those situations. I don't get to choose if somebody's yelling about something or angry at one another, but I do get to choose my response to that and my emotion in regards to that. It's kind of like living life on life's terms, that things are going to go on in life whether I'm here or not, and I can just choose to be part of it or not. Kind of to the same extent of like I get to choose what I take in. Like, we are what we eat. So if I want to watch, crappy news about like politics and stuff that's just crazy going on in the world and all this arguing, then I'm going to feel bad. So I get to choose what I take in. I have an option today. And, I get called out a little bit on this because I like to complain about celebrity and, people that are famous just for being famous. And somebody called me out and they're like, why do you feel that way? What is your issue with it? And when I actually thought about it, I was like, I want that. I want everything for nothing. I've never worked hard for anything in my life except for now my sobriety and my life in the last 4 years. I want that. I want to be loved without having to be, give love. I want to, be respected without having to respect all that. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You called me on that. So I got to stop doing that. And I came to terms with it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to entertain. I'm not going to watch that stuff. I'm not going to take it in. I can also accept my follies. I crash into things all the time, not with my car or anything, but like physically crash into things all the time. I have long limbs that are flailing about, and like I must stub my toe or bash my hand off something 10 times a day minimum. And I like to be a little bit dramatic about it. So there's yelling involved. There might be rolling around on the ground, things like that. And I hit my head a lot too now that I think about it. That might say some things about me. And I can accept that this stuff happens. I've also had to come to terms with the fact that I'm getting a little bit older, and that was inevitable apparently. Last year I was out, I after 20 years of snowboarding and the fall of my company and, my life crashing down, the last thing I kind of wanted to do was get back on a board. Last year I'd kind of finally gotten to the point where I was really excited and happy to get back out. I'd lost some of my skills, definitely lost a lot of my tricks over that almost 4-year period. But my mind was telling me that this is what I needed to be doing, and I could still do all these things, but I had to remember my body couldn't. And maybe it was like my 4th day out, and I'd just come off a rail, and simply coming off a rail and landed weird and jarred something in my back. And it put me out of commission for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, you're 42 or 41 at that time. You can't do everything that you used to be able to do. And it was hard to accept that, but it was kind of laughable to that same extent. And I know the person with me got a good chuckle out of it as well. But now I'm just an old guy going out, hurting my back, trying to snowboard. Another humorous situation that happened more recently. I was scrolling through Instagram like I do, and I was on somebody's story, and they're a professional skier, and apparently I responded to their story unintentionally, not knowing I was doing this. And I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, oh, why is this person responding to me? And it just said, thanks, dog. I'm like, what is he talking about? So I look back, and I guess in his story at somewhere, he posted him dropping a cliff or something in the backcountry. And I somehow responded a GIF of Santa Claus saying, stay ho ho home to him. And I was just like, you have to be kidding me. Like, this is not like I'm sure he cares, but I'm like, this is mortifying. I'm like, and he's responding to it. I'm like, I'm telling this guy to stay home with Santa Claus GIF. I'm like, oh God. And, but it's laughable. And, I do things like this, I make mistakes. And it's funny to me because, what I had to learn, I guess what this ties into is what I had to learn is that I'm not that important. He'll probably never think about this again. All these scenarios that I feared and was so worried about, people generally don't care about. When I was in treatment, I was so worried what people would think that I went to treatment, what people would be talking about. And I was, playing at all these scenarios in my head. And at the end of the day, the only people that cared were the people that cared about me. And, they were happy to see me there. It's not like it was news to anybody that I was a drunk. Like, it was so funny. Like, I was so self-absorbed to think that people actually would, like, be talking about me, like, not that important. And I don't mean that I'm not important to people in their lives, but I'm like, the general population isn't too worried what Ryan's doing. So again, coming to terms with accepting the fact that I'm not that important, I'm not special, my, most of my experiences are not that unique, also was a big weight off my shoulders. Like, not, I'm not on stage for the whole world, well, I guess technically this would be, but the whole world's not seeing it. So I'm not that important, and that's great, because all these little things, they pass, I guess there's a saying, like, this too shall pass. Those slips and follies people forget about. And, what acceptance has given me the ability to do is to kind of be okay with myself and the things that, I do. And it's also given me the ability to be more present. Like in situations where, say, I'm spending it with friends. I can accept whatever's going on around me, and I can just be present in that moment and really make the most of every experience. It allows me to deal with situations better. And this comes back, I guess, ultimately at the end of the day, is to just really being self-aware and not allowing myself to create like these kind of false narratives. Things happen. I don't have control over the vast majority of them, and they're going to happen whether I like it or not. So I have to embrace those experiences, whether they're good or bad. The good things happen, and and I get to be happy a lot of the time, but that passes. The bad things happen, and those pass as well. So when I'm feeling things, I just have to remember that it's like everything, it's ebbs and flows. Good comes, bad comes, it all passes, and and it's going to come again. And I can accept that today. And I owe that, ultimately to the great people around me who, call me on my crap, but also that accept me for who I am. I have an amazing group of friends today. My friends group has never been smaller, but it is much more supportive than it's ever been. And I'm grateful for that today. And, who knew what life had to offer until all of a sudden I accepted this opportunity. And I started to be the change I wanted to see. So that's kind of all I got to ramble about today. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please leave a comment in the comment section, kind of about your experiences with acceptance, things that maybe you're having trouble accepting or letting go of, stuff like that, or any feedback. I really appreciate it. Please do click the like button and the subscribe button. If you're kind of new to this whole YouTube thing, the subscribe button doesn't actually technically subscribe you to anything. It just gives you notifications when I post a video. So then that way you get to see a video when I post it. I'm staying on track, trying to post every week. I have some exciting and fun things to come as we get closer to the holidays, as well as right after the holidays, we have some really neat stuff happening. It's technically already happened. Some people already know about it, but I'll give you a teaser. January 4th, there's something that's going to be happening. So I'm excited. I'm having another wonderful day here. It's gloomy as what seems to be always lately, but we're making the most of it, ready to get back out on the slope. So I hope everybody has an amazing week and no bad days. Thanks for joining me. Take care.